Hi SwitchUp family and welcome back. Thanks to all the people that were wishing me well after everyone in my house was sick. They are all better, which is nice. I'm just shattered. Today we're going to look at some of the best sales this week and a couple that potentially you should avoid. Now we're looking to hopefully do another big giveaway, what with us just reaching 250,000 subscribers. I don't know if you remember, but we gave away 2 Switch OLEDs. Where's Jack in the comments? So something big would be nice. We're going to have a little chat with the people that run our website. Now the website at the moment, again, you can save 10%. That's really cool. We seem to have about 50% of people that are using it regularly to buy all of their games. So that's amazing. If you head over to switchup.gg and use code SwitchUp, you can save 10%. As always, so that I don't lose my mind, I've tried to pick out niche picks and make it as interesting as possible, give you a bit more info than the average, and if there's any performance update info as well, to try and share that. Okay, what are the best games on sale? Well, let's find out. First up then, we have the excellent Subnautica. I reviewed this one and it was the first time I'd played it actually on Switch, which was quite an interesting change. Usually I've played most of the games that have been previously out on PC, and it's such a nice take on the survival genre. You start out on this planet, essentially crash landing, and it gives you that real sense of isolation. Now my brother, he can't stand being around open water. Like, it just freaks him out when he can't see below the surface. And this game does that kind of feeling, I guess, where you never quite know what you're going to experience when you go beneath the waves. Now, it's very cool. The formula is you go around scanning items with this scanner. It then builds up the amount of things that you can create. And you can base build here as well. You get different submarines which allow you to go to the depths of the ocean, and obviously it's set on an alien planet, so there's all kinds of strange technologies that you'll find. It's got a very experiential, interesting take on the survival genre, I guess. Performance isn't perfect on the Switch versions of these two games, but it's still good enough to be enjoyable. Thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this episode. This is Raid's 3rd year anniversary. First up, we've got a new addition to the game called the Doom Tower. This game mode introduces a whole world of new and terrifying bosses to slay, over 120 levels. It's really good if you've played the game before and you want to get into something new. As a high-level collection RPG, Raid started with hundreds of unique characters and bosses, but it hasn't stopped them adding more. Check out the sketches for these new characters, very cool. And they've added an entirely new faction. They're known as the Shadowkin, and they're a tribe of Far Eastern warriors. Now the newest and biggest addition is the Hydra Clan boss. With its multiple heads, it requires a slightly different strategy to beat. As I said, Raid have just celebrated their 3-year anniversary and it was massive. Free gifts for everyone, a bunch of new content and events, new champions, new artifacts, and there's no sign of them slowing down. Right now they've got a bunch of special events and tournaments with some of the best prizes they've given, including champions, piles of shards, and tons of other goodies. If you'd like to support the channel and also try out the game, click my link in the description or scan the QR code which is on the screen. You'll get a free starter pack worth $40. It includes 3 free champions, Misericord, Tiger Soul and Romero, plus 10 Magic XP brews, 10 Force XP and 10 Spirit brews. And all of that's waiting for you here. This is all available only for the next 30 days and only to new players, so download it today. And it takes us straight onto our second game, which was the sequel, Subnautica Below Zero. This was quite different. Obviously you've got the frozen tundra, the visuals, they had a bit of an update in certain areas, and there are some scenes where it just looks delightful. Again, performance not quite right. Some of the mechanics as well are a touch janky, so you go on an island and like you might be almost freezing to death and you're trying to stay alive, but the pacing of it's strange. It's very much that survival pacing where you can push forward at your own pace, or you could end up kind of wandering around for ages, not quite knowing what to do. That's one of the pros and cons with freedom, I guess. But usually a game signposts more to make it a bit more obvious for the player where they need to go. Regardless of that, I still enjoy the game and I just love those experiences. That feeling of I could head north, south, east, west. I could go up or down. Not so much up because you can't fly. But you know what I'm saying. It's something that I always miss when you're on rails, so to speak, with game design. Plus there are some awesome little penguin creatures in this one. I mean, it's worth it just for the penguins. Now both Subnautica and Below Zero are on sale until the 27th of May. And it matches the cheapest Subnautica's ever been, and it is the cheapest that Below Zero's ever been. £12.49 each, 50% off. It's a great time to pick them up. Now in terms of download sizes, the first game you're looking at 5 gigs with a playtime of around 30 to 50 hours, and the sequel is 6.8 gigs with a similar playtime, a bit shorter actually. If you're a physical collector, then I'd suggest looking at shop2.net here in the UK, where you can buy the double pack 40% off at £29. Next up then, we've got a little game, one that I was expecting to be, honestly, I thought it was going to be rubbish. It's called Agent A Puzzle in Disguise. And yeah, like I say, I didn't have any hopes for it at all. I thought it was going to be absolute garbage, and it was surprisingly enjoyable. It's also only 99p, it's 95% off. It's worth saying that it does go on sale quite a lot, but I don't think I've mentioned it before, and it's a really enjoyable, almost like an old school, tongue-in-cheek spy movie. So like a bit of a 007 feel to it, with a villain and some very cool little puzzles to work through. Now, it's only a small experience, which for 95p or whatever you're going to pay, 99p, it's not too bad. It's about 4 or 5 hours long. It's one you can enjoy with your kids. It's only a gigabyte to download, so if you're after something to pick up and actually complete, then this might be a little nice addition. That one's on sale until May the 27th.
Then locate and infiltrate her secret lair. It is imperative that you uncover her plans.
Catching me won't be that easy.
Some people really liked Project Warlock and others didn't. Now, if you're like me and you grew up playing games like Hexen, then you'll kind of know the appeal of this. It's also a massive game. There are 60 different levels to work your way through. It's a first-person, classic-style shooter, in air quotes. Finding keys, moving on to the next area, loads of different enemies flooding towards you, and some decent weapons in here as well. What's nice is that there's an upgrade system as well, so it does have some RPG elements. You can assign different points to your character to improve them in certain areas. Things like spells, a la Hexen, and it's one of a number of solid shooters on Switch. We've got things like Ion Fury, Immortal Redneck, City of Brass, Dusk, Duke Nukem, but at 60% off, taking it down to £5.19. That's a nice little sales pickup until May the 22nd. Played a little of this one with the hope of getting a full review out, but it was one of those busy times, and it's still on sale actually until May the 28th. It's Arise A Simple Story, the definitive edition, which is a puzzle adventure, and it comes from Untold Tales, but it has some very cool time manipulation mechanics for some of those puzzles. It deals with difficult memories and troubled pasts, and it uses those time manipulation mechanics to kind of visualize, in a way, how we tend to wrestle with our demons and with the things that have affected us. It's a bit of a tearjerker, I'm not gonna lie, and what's very cool is you can actually play with 2 of you locally. The enhanced edition has some soundtrack added on, an art book, and it runs nicely on Switch, which is always a result. Plus, it does have gyroscope support. So you know I'm going to like it. You don't need to use that, but the way that you use it to control the flow of time, that's pretty damn sweet. As I say, 3.4 gigs, and it's on sale until May the 28th at 50% off. The hidden gem this week then, and I guess it's a flawed hidden gem, as most games are, they have flaws, but this one is called Aspire Ina's Tale. It's a mixture, this one, of an action platformer, some music game elements in there, and was really enjoying it until I was stolen away to review some other game. But you play as the titular Ina as she's awoken in her tower, and she's trying to work out why she's been imprisoned there. There are some unusual characters to meet along the way, and she's got a number of different powers that she gradually unlocks throughout the adventure. A very cool game, has that nice visual storytelling element to it that games like Hollow Knight and things do well, whereby the environments tell much of the story as you move about the world. It's a real bite-sized adventure though. You're looking at about 5 hours to finish it. You could potentially do it even quicker than that, but I'm notoriously slow and try and find secret areas, and it's only 1.9 gigs. Another one that we mentioned in our Flawed Gems video was Nongunz Doppelganger Edition. We felt that this game was too vague, so that was its main flaw. It's so vague. There's mechanics in there that you just won't find out. Like you might never find them out, but actually if you go online and follow a few guides and things like that, it's a really good game. I'd say it's probably the Marmite pick of the week. It's not going to agree with everyone. Some people will love it, some people will hate it. It has that strange black and white pixel art style, very difficult gameplay, but there is also some persistence to the world as well, with different upgrades that you can acquire. There is a co-op mode if you can get someone along for the ride, and this Doppelganger Edition essentially just added an arena where you can fight against endless waves of creatures. It's a game that will require a certain deal of skill, so don't go in expecting a very easy and chill experience. This is the cheapest it's ever been. It's 35% off, and that's until May the 18th. I reviewed the Falconeer Warrior Edition a long time ago now, but I think is this Thomas Happ? It was from one bloke, from one person. It's not Thomas Happ, it's Thomas Saller, and he designed everything that you see in this game. Like, I think that's incredible. There are some brilliant ideas in here. You start out in one small section of the map, working for one particular faction, and you're performing different missions. Now, it's quite simplistic. It almost plays out like one of those old arcade flight sims. You know, you control directly the Falconeer, the Falcon, I should say, and you can shoot and do different skills to dodge and evade them. But there is a narrative here as well. You do have faction standings, although that's not fully fleshed out. It's almost like a really nice proof of concept. Now, this version added in the DLC, the Hunter DLC, which adds in a new class, as well as a dragon that you can control. There's the Edge of the World DLC as well, and that's where the real meat comes in. It adds in 3 new quests. That one's 40% off, taking it down to £14.99, and a nice small 1.6GB download. I'd say this is probably one of my favourites in this list this week, and it's Vigil, The Longest Night. It's 40% off at the moment, and it's a really enjoyable Metroidvania that's in the vein of Salt and Sanctuary. They've patched this one up quite significantly since it launched. There's a full skill tree, so you can apply different points into areas to improve your character, 4 main weapon classes to work through, and some horrible boss fights. They just look gross. What's nice here is that there's multiple endings, so there's got quite a bit of longevity, this one, despite also being a decent length Metroidvania, around about 15 to 20 hours. It's a fun game, this one. It's 40% off until May the 22nd. It's a 5.2GB download, and if you've just finished Blasphemous or Hollow Knight or one of those other brilliant Metroidvanias and you're looking for something else, then this might be a good one to consider. Side note as well, when Death's Gambit Afterlife goes on sale, make sure you got that on your wish list, because it's amazing, and they've just released another huge patch for it. I'll try and get it in an all patched up episode. Now, despite talking about how many retro first-person shooters we've got on Switch, we haven't got a great deal. There are quite a few, but we haven't got a great deal of modern, in air quotes, first-person shooters. And I'd say one of the best is either Crysis 2 or 3, which run really nicely on Switch. In fact, that engine is running brilliantly. I'm surprised more games don't use it. But both 2 and 3 are currently 40% off each, taking them down to £16.19. If you're interested, we've got full performance reviews of these, so you can go and check it out. There were some issues with audio when it launched. I'm not sure if those are still around. Maybe someone can tell me in the comments. But generally, performance is decent, and it's got all the little bells and whistles like gyro. The main thing will be if you've got enough space to download them. You're looking at about 11 gigs for number 2, and the same as well for number 3. If you can find the physical cheap, you might want to consider the remastered Trilogy. Finally then, a game that obviously I don't think you'll pick it up right now, because you'll probably be waiting for a review when we do one when it comes out. I want to draw it to your attention, and it's Shadowrun Trilogy. This is releasing on June the 21st, so over a month's time. But if you've never played these, they're fantastic games. At the moment, it's on a 25% pre-order discount, taking it down to £26.99, which is expensive. Like, it's expensive for older games, but they're brilliant. They're dystopian cyberpunk adventures, and I think I played these. I think the original one came out over a decade ago. There's a full tech tree, upgrades, lots of different choices to make, loads of missions, and it was originally created, for the nerds amongst us, as a tabletop RPG about 30 years ago. I don't think I ever completed them. I seem to remember playing these, and then I remember picking them up on my Android phone like a long time ago. So yeah. But they are brilliant, and you kind of know, if you've not played them in the past and you like this type of thing, then maybe just add it to your wish list for when we do a review of it. Okay, so then we've got a couple of games that you might want to consider avoiding. First up, we have Popeye. Now, Popeye is an incredibly good license. As a kid, I loved it. I'm sure all of you have watched it, but do not watch the Switch version of the game, which is currently on a massive 80% discount. It's hot garbage. This takes the hot trash to a whole new level. So bland, so lifeless, and such a shame, really. Why is it that so many of these IPs, do they start to sell them for cheap? Is that what happens? Like, it's a slightly older IP, but people know it, and then they sell off the rights for cheap? I don't know, but it's lifeless, absolutely lifeless. It holds potentially a 2 positive Metacritic score of 2, and it involves moving around stages, like basically filling out, like Hangman, where you you got words at the bottom and you're like, which letter shall I add next? Essentially, it's Hangman the game with Popeye thrown in. An embarrassing mess. And last but not least, another one that's on sale at the moment at 85% off. Its cheapest ever is Narcos Rise of the Cartels. A game that should have been so far up my alley, I should be playing it right now. It's 1980s. It's obviously based on the hit Netflix series, bit of a spin-off, and it uses tactical turn-based combat. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Turns out quite a lot. It's very dull, it's clunky, and it's strange because all the elements there are in place for it to be you know, I love XCOM, for example, but I found Narcos just difficult to play. You know, you're just plodding through thinking, my word, this has got to get better. So personally, I would be avoiding that one. If you've played any of those avoids as well in the comments, let me know what your thoughts on them are, because, you know, I can be wrong. Perhaps Popeye is a masterpiece and Narcos is one to add to your list. Who knows? So that's it for this week. Let me know. Are you adding anything to your backlog? Have you completed any games? Come on, you need to help me out here. Some of you must be finishing some of these games. It's got to happen. If you have, let us know. But thanks to all of our patrons and all of you that support us on the channel just by leaving comments and hopefully enjoying the content. So for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!